I would introduce him as the great senator from Texas, but I believe now that I have been re-educated this week, I need to refer to him as the chief jihadist, the man who hates our children so much, the man who's destroying the very fabric of this nation.
Almost a spawn of Satan.
Spawn of Satan? I would say that.
Yeah.
I would say that. And the guy who Chris Matthews used to say was the most just horrible, despicable terrorist,
Joe McCarthy,
and now says, finally, the president has met his match. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Ted Cruz. How are you, sir?
Gentlemen, I'm doing great. I think you're just trying to sweet talk me this morning.
That's what we'd expect you to say.
I have to say, after listening to Harry Reid, my wife Heidi turned to me and said, goodness gracious, I didn't realize you were such a rotten guy.
Yeah, I know. What does it say about her, Ted? Seriously.
Well,
so I'm amazed at a couple of things. First of all, they're now calling people who are, following you or, standing up for the correct principles of this country. They're now calling us jihadist. A congressman said that on the floor yesterday, that we are waging jihad. And I want to make it very clear that, yes, that's exactly what we're doing, because we learned from those same people that jihad is a peaceful inner struggle that is just trying to purify themselves and their community. So,
well, you know what? I'm going to leave that one alone. But I will say this. As the Bard wrote long ago, methinks she doth protest too much. If they were right that what we're doing is hopeless, is doomed to fail, which, mind you, they've been telling us for months.
I know.
Then why are they screaming so loudly? Why are they getting so personal? Why are they so filled with hate and fear? And it's because the American people are mobilized, are passionate and energized, and even worse, understand that Obamacare is hurting millions of Americans, and that has the left terrified out of their minds.
Ted, I think what bothers us maybe the most about all of this are some of the Republicans who have joined in the vitriol and have been even stronger in spewing it than some of the Democrats, like Peter King. What has happened to these people? Is it? You probably don't want to speculate on it, but to me it seems like, I don't know if it's jealousy. I don't know if you're getting too much attention for their liking.
I think the people like John Boehner. John Boehner, that letter that went to the White House. Do you care to comment on that at all, Senator? I mean, this is shocking and exactly what the Tea Party has been saying these people will do. They'll make all kinds of backroom deals, backdoor deals to improve their situation, then come out and lie to us. I mean, it's bad.
Well, look, the answer has always been that the only hope of stopping Obamacare lies with the American people. The only reason we're here now is because millions of Americans went to don'tfundit.com, signed a national petition, called their representatives, spoke out, and that's why the House of Representatives act. The House listened to the people, because when millions of constituents melted down the phone lines, signed the national petition at don'tfundit.com, the House had no choice but listen. And to win this fight, look, we're in the middle of the fight right now, Glenn. Your voice matters so much, and the voices of your listeners matter so much right now, making clear this is Harry Reid's shutdown. This is Barack Obama's shutdown, and they need to stop being obstructionist, fund the government, but stop this train wreck that is Obamacare that is hurting millions of Americans right now.
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, if you look at the stats, nationwide they may have signed up 10,000 people, maybe. They've just announced in Connecticut, they're very excited. They have now signed up just less than 0.1% of those who are uninsured. So there's no clamor for this. The stats that are now coming out, because you can track website stats, and they said, hey, this is huge. No, it's not. It is an absolute disaster, and there is no clamoring for it. The second thing that is really important to show is the House, I think, brilliantly decided we'll pass each part of it. We'll pass them and keep sending them. And you are the one who is picking and choosing, and you're saying my way or the highway. When Harry Reid yesterday came out and said about, hey, there's the National Institute of Health. They're not starting studies. They're not starting new studies. And that could be the cure for cancer for kids. And if we could just save one kid from cancer. And they said, then why don't you sign that appropriations bill? Why don't you sign that one? Because they'll pass it and they'll send it right to you. And then he didn't know what to say. And so it shows that everything they're saying, everything they're doing is a lie.
Well, Harry Reid and Barack Obama believe the shutdown helps them politically. So they want the shutdown. And it's funny they say that we're picking and choosing the priorities. Actually, the priorities came from President Obama. He gave a speech to the whole country where he said, listen, in a shutdown, he intended to stop paying Border Patrol agents, to shut down the national parks, to shut down much of the VA. And what the House is saying is, well, look, okay, those are your priorities. Let's work together with bipartisan compromise. We're going to fund the Border Patrol. We're going to fund the VA. We're going to fund the national parks so you don't put up barricades to keep World War II veterans from coming to the World War II memorial. And suddenly, Barack Obama and Harry Reid revealed that they're saying, no, we don't want to fund those. And the beauty of it is, Glenn, look, the mainstream media all repeats the White House talking points word for word. And they say this is the Republicans who want to shut this down. When the House has passed a bill saying fund the VA, we want to support our veterans, and it's Harry Reid who says, I will shut down the VA, it's very hard to blame that on anybody else.
Well, and I will tell you this, that every day that goes by, and they know this, every day that goes by, the voices like the Blaze get stronger and stronger and stronger. When we have 19 million unique readers every month to the Blaze, that's now all of a sudden a real credible force in America. And Absolutely. So you can get between us and everybody else that's doing it now, you have a real force to where real information can get out. And you're seeing these networks, all of them, start to crater, and so they're losing their credibility. I actually heard somebody on CNN talk about how the National Institute of Health is not starting new programs, and he used the same line Harry Reid did, and it might be the life-saving cancer treatment, and then he went on, and the Panda Cam has also been shut down, and it just goes on and on from there. And I'm like, wait, this new trial that might be delayed for 30 days is all of a sudden the life-saving cancer treatment, and the next thing in the sentence is, and the Panda Cam is down? I don't think the American people feel this shutdown at all, and they don't care.
Well, and look, the administration, unfortunately, is playing games. They're playing politics. We shouldn't be surprised during the sequester. We all remember when they decided to furlough the air traffic controllers because they thought, okay, if people's planes are delayed, they'll be ticked off. And they put it in writing, and everyone understood the games they were playing. They're doing the same thing here. You've got there's an article on Drudged right now about how the Park Service has put up barricades to block the parking lots at Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon is privately owned and operated. It's not closed. So the Park Service, apparently, according to the article on Drudge, has gone to put up barricades to say, we want to shut down the parking lot so that if you come to Mount Vernon, you, too, don't get to see George Washington's home because we're going to affirmatively stop you from parking.
We were talking about that story this morning, and I'm not sure if that one is true yet. We're still checking on it, but that might be true, but I'm not sure if it is.
Yeah, look, I'm repeating the story. I don't know if
I know that.
But I do know the pattern. I do know there are barricades on the World War II memorial.
Now, here's the question I have for you, because your father escaped communist Cuba. I have never seen in American history an administration or any politician that would intentionally block World War II veterans, 90-year-old men, the greatest American generation, block them. And I can understand they tried to block them so then the press would show up and they'd show all these old guys that couldn't see their memorial. But then they lost that because the Republicans just opened it up. So they lost that. They have just increased and put more chips down on the table. They put more fencing around it, and now they have more guards around that to make sure nobody opens that up. They have more guards around it than we had at Benghazi. That is almost psychosis, to where you've lost that PR battle, and so now you're like, oh, really? I'm going to take those old men and shove them around. This is really a frightening Marxist principle.
Their priorities are all partisan, and they view it, they want the shutdown to continue, and they want it painful. All right, let's just take parks and memorials. The House has passed a bill to fund all of our parks and memorials, to open every one of them up. Every Senate Republican wants to open every park and memorial. And by the way, those bills don't mention Obamacare. Doesn't say anything about Obamacare. Just says, let's keep the parks and memorials open. And President Obama has threatened to veto it. Harry Reid today, in all likelihood, is going to step forward and say, no, do not open the Statue of Liberty. Do not open our memorials. And at that point, even as shameless as the mainstream media is, it becomes very hard to hide who it is that's shutting these things down.
Here's the really scary point. The president came out yesterday, and I think he's trying to spook the markets. I mean, they are starting to spook they're intentionally trying to spook the markets by saying, this is going to have long-term effects on everything. This is going to have a long-term effect on our security, on our economy. I think they are trying to spook the market into some sort of a Black Monday kind of thing. I mean, it's a Marxist Saul Alinsky principle. Yeah. They'll take a wrecking ball to this thing.
So let's talk about how we turn it around, because it's the same way we got here, which is every one of your listeners that has been engaged, that has been energized. The fight is right now, and what's changed, you put your finger on it before, with all of the listeners at the Blaze, all of your subscribers, all of the millions of Americans who are no longer dependent on the mainstream media, but now have avenues to find out the truth and to speak out. This is the battle right now, and every one of your listeners, let me encourage you, go to don'tfundit.com, sign the national petition, phone, email, tweet, put Facebook comments on every Senate Democrat saying, do the right thing, stop the harms of Obamacare, and open up the government. And thank your House Republicans for standing up and doing the right thing. They should hear words. When they do the right thing, we should praise them, and I salute their courage for listening to the American people. And then, every bit as importantly, tell the story. Get out and communicate with your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers. I've got a website, jobsgrowth.org, where people can go and tell their personal stories of how Obamacare has impacted their life. You can upload a video on jobsgrowth.org telling how it's impacting you. But we're going to win the argument when millions of Americans reach out to their friends and neighbors and coworkers and say, this thing isn't working, it's hurting America. We need to pull back and stop these harms.
Real quick, I'm just watching, as you're talking about this, you see Louis Gohmert up on Fox News with the banner underneath him. Louis Gohmert responds to claims he's playing politics with World War II vets. I'm telling you, be very careful who you get your news from. That is an outrage that they would put that on there. That's not the story at all. And we're letting him speak. No, you're putting the banner up underneath him that he's responding to claims that he's just playing politics. That's not the story. What are you doing there? And this is a guy who is taking down the Karl Rove, and you are too, the Karl Rove GOP. I'm telling you, hashtag defund the GOP. How would you feel about Louis Gohmert being your junior partner from the state of Texas, sir?
Well, Louis is a good man. He's a friend. He has been fighting very, very hard on this fight on Obamacare. But I'll tell you, listen, I'm also proud to serve with John Cornyn, and so you're not going to get me in the middle of that one.
I didn't figure I would, but it was worth a shot. All right, Ted, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for everything you're doing. It makes a huge, huge difference. And we're winning right now. We're winning the debate.
I know.
That's why they're scared. That's why they're attacking us. The more shrill it gets, the more scared they are.
I know. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You bet. Bye-bye.